So early on in describing your journey, describing the 90s sitcoms, and you're seeing the portrayal of the white dads and taking some issue with that. What I'm getting from that was initially there's some defensiveness around this. You didn't like the images that were being portrayed.
Why are we so mean to men is what I was thinking.
Wh-
Yeah. I
Why are
mean,
we so mean to men? So that place of defensiveness you were in, and then you're bringing the speaker in to do these workshops, and initially you mentioned it was performative. So I'm bringing them in, I'm hosting these things. What were some of the things that moved you from that place of defensiveness and
mhm,
performance to, as you described, your mentor that you
yeah,
had, where it's no, there was nothing, or your teacher, right? There was nothing negative about what this person was doing. It's no, this is for the people, this is of service.
yeah.
And so what moved you from that place initially to how you're operating and what you try to keep in top of mind and your work
Yeah.
now when it comes to
You're
not being performative?
yeah, you're pointing to this process that I've reflected a lot on, and it ended up being a article that I wrote around aspiring allyship identity development. And allyship isn't an identity, it's an action, it's something you do, but how we think about ourselves as allies, I think dramatically shifts how we show up. And so in thinking about that exact question, how did I go from this to that? What are the shifts? And then watching Francie Kindle and Tim Wise, I sat in that session hearing them and I was mapping out this table and that table's like 75% of what's in the actual article that I still use to
Mhm,
this day that was published in
mhm.
2007. And I probably think about that allyship model, those three different statuses of allyship every day. I slip up all the time. I get in a conversation and I think, I have a reaction and I think, oh, I got to slow down. I got to think about this a little bit more. And so the three steps I talk about are self interest, which is when you do it for your friends and people you care about. Then there's altruism, when you do it for all those who experience oppression. And then this enlightened self interest. And when you do it for someone you care about, like your brother John comes out and now you speak out against homophobic jokes and comments, but you don't do it when John's not around. Because all you really care about is protecting John, right? It's very personal, and I think that's often where people start, right?
Mhm.
They have that Asian friend, and so now they're gonna not do that or not speak out. But when they're not around, we can make jokes. And it's a point of connection, it's a point of empathy, it's a point of relationship, and it's often an entry point to speaking up and doing something, but it's not sustainable. Then you move to this place where, oh, it's not just John, it's all queer people. It's all people of color. It's all people who experience sexism and genderism. So, how do I want to help them? And that altruism is really about helping them. And you can do a lot of good. I think that's where we get performative. We want to be seen. Look how I'm helping them, right? There's sort of a savior hero kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. You've seen this, and And I think you can do a lot of good in that place. You can do a lot of good work. But when you get criticized, you get super defensive because what you're really trying to do in that place is separate yourself as being a good white person, an
Mhm.
exceptional man, to distinguish yourself. And often in that place, that's where folks of privilege really beat up on other folks of privilege. Have you ever seen white people that are just bash white people? Oh, white people and the things white people have done throughout history, it's an abomination. I'm like, "Okay, yeah.
As if they are not also a white
Yeah,
person who is
exactly.
benefiting and
Right,
participating.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah." Or men who just bash men, like, "Oh, can you believe
Oh,
the shit
man.
men do? Oh my god, men are
Mhm. The
terrible."
worst.
Yeah, okay. And I've done that. I've absolutely done that. So I'm not above all of this. But what I've noticed is when I'm in that place, I think people who experience marginalization, when they're in that place, they're really trying to distance themselves from people who have hurt them, right? So when women bash men, they're trying to distance from men who have hurt them. Maybe men in their lives, maybe society, maybe men at large. When I do it, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to distance myself from a previous version of myself that I can no longer be with.
Mm.
So when I bash white people, what I'm doing is I want distance from that version of me that said affirmative action is reverse racism, that I can no longer be with that perspective. And I'm ashamed that I once thought that. And so bashing white people is a great way to distance myself and say, but I'm one of the good ones. You can trust me. You can connect with me. You can be in relationship with me. You don't have to question my intentions. And so that's really separation. And when people give us feedback, hey, I love the talk, but I think that joke was a little sexist, then you get defensive because you're trying to prove I'm a good one. And that feedback is something to be defensive about because you're trying to maintain this perspective that I'm one of the good ones. No, you don't understand. I'm
Mhm.
Dr. Keith Edwards. I'm a
That's right.
PhD. I started this thing and I've done. And every time I get defensive, at this point, I get defensive plenty. And I start in my head to run the resume. And when I get defensive and I start to think, run the resume, like no, that's my red flag. And that's when I try and move to the next stage, which is this enlightened self-interest. So if someone comes up to me and says, love the talk. I thought that example was a little sexist. I go, get in touch with your enlightened self-interest. If this person can help you understand a sexism within you that you are unaware of, that is a gift toward your own liberation. And you don't need to be defensive about that. You should welcome that. This is a gift, right? And then I say,
Mhm.
really? Oh, I'd love to learn more. Where did you see that? How did you see? Okay, I wasn't thinking that, but I totally get it. And sometimes I don't always agree, but I at least engage not from a place of defensiveness. I can at least really listen and really inquire and really self-reflect.
I love how you said you start running the resume. There's this thing that's always in my mind. Past actions don't erase current behavior.
Oh,
What are
yeah.
you doing now? What are you doing in this moment?
I think when we get in touch, oh, I'm getting defensive. I want to explain to them all the things I've done. That's that middle stage. Now I got to get in touch with my enlightened self-interest. And when I have that enlightened self-interest, any feedback about my sexism, about my ableism, about my non-inclusiveness is just, yeah, I'd love it because I know I'm a good person. And that's not a threat to me being a good person. I'm a good person who has been taught racist things my whole life. I've been taught sexist things my whole life. I've unlearned a lot of it. And you know what happens as soon as you unlearn it? You go out in the world and you get taught it again. By social
Again and
media,
again.
by music. So
Yep.
I'm being socialized every day of my life in these ways. So the unlearning is really important. I'm working on a piece now about, I think learning is like 10% learning, about 50% unlearn, and about 40% relearning.
Mm.
Because when I need to learn something, like if I've got to fix my faucet, I don't know how to do that. I look it up, I learn it. It's not that hard, right? But if I think I know how to fix the faucet and it's not working and I got to learn a completely different way of doing it, if I think I know how the world works and functions and someone comes along and says, actually, that's not how that is, that's how racism works. I go, oh, I got to unlearn all of that. And unlearning is really challenging. And then once you unlearn, then you get socialized and you got to relearn, you got to be reminded, and you got to have another example, and you got to read another Bell Hooks book, and then you got to see it play out here. And then you see it in this documentary, and then you see in this poem, and you're like, oh, and then you see a model of it. And then eventually you go from knowing racism exists and white privilege exists to then doing that in conversations and getting the feedback and being criticized and welcoming it as a gift and being open to it and learning that you can say racist things and get that feedback and welcome it and apologize and take responsibility. And you still get to be on podcasts like this, right? Or maybe you get to be on podcasts like this because of that, right?
Because of that, yeah.
And
Mhm.
then for time going to doing and practicing and working and really effort to, that's just how I show up. You move into this being place. And I think that's where that teacher that I mentioned was. He wasn't perfect. He messed up. And when students would say things, he'd be like, oh, yeah, you're right. And he just welcomed it because it was his way of being. Now he was 55 years old, been doing it for a long time. I don't know what got him to that place as a straight white man, but I still see him out there doing it in different venues now.